And good evening and welcome to another episode of the Malik Show Live. I am your host, Malik Shabazz Sullivan, and I am so glad that you have came and to see about me and us on tonight. Well, tonight, we have an amazing show. We have the one and only Miranda Sanders of KADESH Live, DMV's own. She is here and she is live with us, and I'm looking for an amazing interview and everything that is going to go smoothly on tonight. But just before I interview Miranda on tonight, we're going to move into this part of the show. If our producer can take us on November the 30th, 2018, and I must pay tribute to this one president. Of course, when I was born, he was already in. But I must say, one of the greatest men that ever lived life and everything. But I personally want to pay tribute to him, and the family has my condolences and sympathy. Our very own 41st President, United States of America, President George Herbert Walker Bush, passed at 94 years old peacefully in Houston, Texas. As you all know, President Bush was a great man and all. So we are remembering President Bush and his family, President George Walker Bush, Laura Bush, and all the family. God bless you all. But moving on. We have our very own, the one and only Miranda Sanders with us live on the Malik Show. I'm so glad to have her on. Miranda, it's so good to have you on with us on tonight.
Thank you for having me. So glad to be here.
No problem at all, but we are looking forward to having an amazing show on tonight. But before we move in, I have an amazing bio. As you can see, that's so nice. I'm showing, well, you know, it's my little flash card, but that bio, that is so sharp. Out of all, I get bios and stuff all the time from people, and they don't have nothing like this, so this is sharp. I'm putting this on live. This is sharp. But producer, let's move on to one of her picture. There we go. That is so pretty. Oh, that's a beautiful picture. But on tonight, Miranda Sanders, the one and only, is a talented choir director who has honored her skill set as a singer, a songwriter, and a directress while working with the Bishop Jerome and Lady Marcia Stokes, the pastor and founder, as ministry leader over the youth and the youth young adult choir for the Church of the Redeemed of the Lord. Miranda got her start at an early age at 11 years old, in which that's when she demonstrated in her embryonic stage that she was designed for great things. During her time of prayer, the Lord allowed her to establish an idea and slowly bring into fruition the youth adult ministry named KADESH, based out of Baltimore, Maryland. KADESH is an exhilarating group of young singers who are energetic and excited to minister the word of God through song. In September of 2016, under the direction of Miranda with producer Kenneth Shelton, KADESH was able to release their first EP, introducing them to the gospel community. Miranda is also a member of one of my favorite gospel artists and one of the baddest dressers in the world, Ricky Dillard and New G, where she renders her melodious voice in the alto section. Under the tutelage of Ricky Dillard, Miranda has traveled through the country, ministering the word of God in song while sharpening her own ministry and gift. In the summer of 2018, Miranda, along with KADESH, will release their freshman project. So here is my first question I would like to ask. So before we get into talking about KADESH and the success of it, let's talk about you, as in Miranda Sanders. If you mind sharing with us, where were you born, and tell us a little bit about your childhood.
I'm a native New Yorker. I'm actually from upstate New York, Albany, New York. Born and bred there. Childhood for me was, of course, preacher. My grandfather, he was an associated pastor at the church that we attended, Mount Zion Baptist Church. That's actually where I started directing at age 11. I was the only youth who was willing to do it. I kind of didn't know that I had the gift, but one day I was teaching choir rehearsal by ear. I believe like our musician had left, like walked out or whatever, so we needed to prepare for a Sunday morning. And I was just like, well, if it's just waving your hands, I'll just do that. But it became more than that. So, you know, that's how my started at 11.
Child. Okay, so let's talk about as far as your childhood. Like, have you ever had time to be a child? And what I mean by that is, have you ever like been like school, like dances, or have you ever like been to parties and all that kind of stuff? Being a preacher's girl, because you know one thing about it, a lot of pastors are very funny about their daughters, especially their daughters going out.
Well, my grandfather, he was the associate pastor, so he was the associate pastor of the church. My family was pretty tight-knit, very tight-knit. Actually, I was the youngest. I have an older sister, but my aunts and my uncles were all very close in age. So, I'm not ashamed to tell my age because I don't look it. I don't look my age.
If you don't mind, how old are you?
Yes.
25?
Yes, I'll take it. I'll take 25 any day.
You sure look 25, just as young as, but God is good though.
I'm actually 39. I'm 39 years old.
You don't look 39.
I know, God. If you stay away from some things in life, God will keep you.
That's a shout right there.
He will keep you. So, growing up, we were always in church. Like, that was our thing. We were really much in church, but it wasn't strict because I actually grew up in the Baptist culture, but we were like split between Baptist and apostolic. So it's like being in the Baptist church, it was like cool because they didn't really,
Okay. Well, Miranda, I tell you what, let's pause and let's talk about this now. As you can see, we have a beautiful picture of you right here, and my producer was just scrolling. Well, I'm glad he got here because this is definitely, if it's anything that I love, it's fashion, fashion, fashion. And I'm sure, here's another question I want to ask, and this is right on time. Well, let's say this. You are very fashionable on tonight. I am liking this. If our producer give her some shoe cam, producer.
Oh God, make sure my toes are down.
Yes, indeed. Give her some shoe cam, producer. Yes, give her some shoe cam.
Just don't
This is just beautiful. Everything. But I guess he didn't give us no shoe. Okay.
That's fine.
It's okay. They can see the outfit.
It's the peep toe. So
come on here. But so looking at that picture, I know just by looking at it and everything, I know from a child on up, you have been very fashionable. So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about, well, definitely tell us about that picture there and where it was taken, and what is your input into fashion and being your own through fashion.
Okay, so the photo was actually taken at a Sunday at the Church of the Redeemed of the Lord. I give photo credit to my little sister. She took some pictures of me. And as far as my input upon fashion, like I found this dress and the bag actually at a boutique that was opened on in Baltimore somewhere. I don't know who the designer is, but for me, for fashion, I just like what I like. I like different things, different eclectic styles, of clothing or items. It has to be something that stands out or pops. Oh, yeah. Like I don't like bland things. Like I can wear something just as basic, but then I have to have something that's just like boom. even if it's small. So,
In fashion, it's about taking chances and being you. So, hey,
taking risks.
yeah,
Absolutely.
you got to. Okay. Well, we talked about your childhood. We talked about fashion. So now we are moving into our next question. Now, how did you end up coming and moving to the state of Maryland? And how many years have you been a Maryland resident? And not only that, how coming from New York, and I'm gonna just say this: I've been going to New York ever since I was a kid, but it's just something about New York as far as fashion and church and stuff, and the Brooklyn area and all of that. So I went out there and it just blew my mind. I was saying, shoot, 2019, I want to move to New York. Shoot, it don't matter to me. But when and how did you get adjusted to the state of Maryland?
Well, to the state of Maryland, I actually went away to college. I went to Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. So from there, I just decided like I didn't want to move back to New York. I actually ended up with one of my friends coming to visit the church that I am here now, Church of the Redeemed of the Lord. And I just asked God, I said, this word is rich here. You know, if I'm going to move, I would love to be at a place like this that is very foundational. So the transition was pretty cool. Like it wasn't really a struggle with moving here. I had a good person who was just like, you know, if you want to come here, that's fine. You just graduated from college, you know, so I made the transition here. I've been here now for 16 years. So you would think I'm a resident, but I just say it's a place that I reside. Okay. No shade, but
well,
shade.
Shoot. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I'm like I said, born in D.C., been raised in Maryland, so this is home for me. But I will say, like, if I have a choice of relocating, it's either gonna be New York or California.
Most people that like fast paced.
Yeah.
Most people who like fast paced cities. Those are the two, and I think that was the thing for me, because Albany is actually on the outskirts of New York City. It's about like an hour and a half, 2 hours away. So for me, it was either graduate and go to Cali or go back to the city.
Okay.
So, but because I actually got into the master's program here. Yes, I'm educated, so
Come on here. Let's give me a high five.
I'm very educated, so I've completed my bachelor's and went into my master's. I actually went to Bowie State to do my master's degree. So after that, I was trying to make a decision, but I ended up staying here.
That's awesome. Well, our next question now. Here is what probably everybody is wondering. How did you, of all people, meet and get to sing with the one and only Ricky Dillard? I mean, the one and only. And producer, let's scroll through. I'm going to tell you when to stop. Scroll through. We're going to talk about that, but scroll through.
Oh, really?
Scroll through. There we go. Stop right there. Since we might as well. Well, I'm going to say this. Ricky Dillard, one of the best gospel artists and dressers that I have ever listened and seen with these two eyes right here. But Miranda, as I can look at this picture, I know y'all tight. I know that y'all just like, what's up, dog, and all that. What's the man? But anyway, my next question is so you moved here and everything. So tell me, how did you get connected with the maestro Ricky Dillard?
Actually, my youth choir someone reached out to our youth choir asking if we could back him up at an event, at Kari Hawkins' event. I didn't know that Ricky was going to be there, but Ricky was there, and he had put it out that he was looking for singers and that you should just audition or whatever. I thought it was like a hoax in the beginning because I'm like, this is Ricky Dillard. Like, this is Ricky Dillard, and finding at the time, I didn't know that he resided here in Maryland, actually. So it was just a matter of doing an audition tape. You had to do an audition, and you just sent it in. I struggled with it. Like, I'm not doing this. This is so out of my box. But I did it. One of my friends pushed me, and I just did the audition video. And in 2015, like 4 or 5 months later, it was like, congratulations. And I was just like, nah, this is not him. Like, this somebody's playing. But then it wasn't until I actually went to the first rehearsal and walked in and he was standing there. And I'm like, it's really real. So, you know, it was just up from there. Like, it was, the experience for me with him was amazing. He's really a people's person. Very straightforward, very frank, but he's also very loving and compassionate, and he's hilarious. He's actually funny. So,
well, not only we have Ricky, we're gonna scroll to the next one. I want to talk about this gentleman, and you know, I am definitely a supporter and a fan of his. Let's talk about the one and only Charles Butler. How did you all meet? And
well, when I moved here, I've seen Charles Butler for years. Like, and I think what stuck out to me, he probably doesn't remember, but there was like an event in Delaware that him and his group had ministered at. It was a long time ago, like long time ago. And I enjoyed the sound. I never really like physically got to talk to him, but I would see him. But now, fast forward and currently, it's more so like me having KADESH. I've come in contact with certain people, and Charles, to me, he is such a teddy bear. Like, at first seeing him, you would be like kind of intimidated because he has a poker face. But just talking to him here and there, like, meeting him and just talking to him, he just has a really genuine and sincere heart. But one thing about him, he's about his business. Like, he's about his business. And yeah, we just kind of clicked, and he just offers some wisdom where he can, because he's been in the game for a very long time. I don't think people understand, like, the distance between DC and Baltimore is something. Like, you may not come in contact with every artist that's here, you know, so when you can touch some that are here, it's like a good thing. It's a really good thing. So
that's awesome. Well, we're gonna swipe to the next one. Yes. 104.1 zone, Cheryl Jackson. So how did you meet up and link with Cheryl Jackson?
With Cheryl Jackson, it is so interesting. I've been hearing her name for years when I was here. The first time I actually officially met her, this picture was actually taken at an event at the Stellar Awards. She interviewed me. It was for, I can't even think of the name of it, but it's by Dominique Thompson, Open and Act. The name is called Open and Act. It's a showcase with Dominique Thompson and Kari Hawkins. And she was doing interviews, and I was able to be interviewed with her this past year for the Stellars. Now, fast forward, and talking to her, it was just like, oh yeah, we're gonna do our interview with you, whatever, we'll link up. I didn't see her again until currently in September, I believe. They had the Spirit of Praise, and I was able to see her again. So KADESH was actually afforded the opportunity to sing on the platform at the Spirit of Praise, and I got a chance to see her again, you know, and we just talked because her daughter is like heavily in youth ministry and stuff. So, you know, that was like the gist of our meeting. Yeah, with Cheryl. So she's good peoples. Good peoples,
ladies and gentlemen, good peoples. Well, here's another good person that we're gonna talk about. If you can. Well, look who that is. That right there is a famous person. That is the one and only Malik Show.
Yes, he is famous. You are so famous.
But we took that picture in D.C. I came to hear you all
Holy Temple.
Holy Temple in Washington, D.C. And by that, that's one of my favorite pictures. Now, I ain't gonna lie. I didn't put the first picture up because well, the first picture we took in Baltimore. I think that was the first time I had met you. Yeah, I had the
Yes.
little head.
And now
Oh,
my hair was back in a bun. Yes.
I still had that. But I definitely wanted to show that's definitely one. I ain't gonna lie, that
But
is one of my favorites. And also, I have enjoyed the ministry of Kadesh. I even saw you shout, and you was cutting up. I said, just give it to him, give it to him. But
that is so funny.
yes. But
I'm
I
not
just
a
wanted to throw that
dancer.
out there. But y'all, this besides all of this, Miranda Sanders is my friend and my buddy. So yes, we
Yes,
tight like that.
thank you so much. No, you've been consistent. You've been consistent. Consistent. I know you have a lot of endeavors that you're involved in, and you're just so. He's so Kojic. Like he's so Kojic. That's a great thing, though. That is so great.
Don't listen. Don't tell them that. Don't tell them that. But besides that, we are 7 minutes into this first half. But don't forget the cake and the icing is coming up for part 2 because we're going to talk about the creation, the birth of Kadesh, and we even got some videos of some bad. I might cut up tonight myself, but I'm trying to stay cool. I'm trying to stay cool, y'all. But here's another picture that I want to talk about while we're on this first segment. Oh, that's another picture of us. We took that at Sam's thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
That was nice. I had on my frills and all
Oh,
that.
there's another one. We took that as
Yes,
Spirit of
dang
Praise.
it. This was when I was singing with Ricky, though. Like, I was singing with Ricky that night. That was, Kadesh didn't sing that night.
They
that
didn't
was
sing
the
that night.
No, that was Spirit of Praise last year. And I was telling Kadesh about Spirit of Praise, and some of them came to support me that night. So I'm like, just think about it. Like I spoke something into existence because when I was there, I was like, this would be so great if Kadesh could be on this type of platform. Fast forward to this year, we actually sang on the Spirit of Praise this year. So,
God works in mysterious ways. But
Yeah.
but like I said, part 2, let's scroll down, producer, because we got some more pics that we're going to talk about. Matter of fact, I tell you what, let's rewind. That's all for part 2. This is the Malik Show. We do things sometimes a little ghetto, so don't mind me. But anyway, oh yeah, we could talk about that in this 5 minutes that's rolling. Let me just say this. You are a wild lady when it comes to worship because I see that picture and I'm saying, oh, she about to give it to him, y'all. Y'all better watch out. She about to give it to him. But I will say, Miranda, where do you get your energy from? And what I mean by that is, we have a lot of choir directress that's just, do all that, but you just be doing, you like Tina Turner on stage. But tell me, where did the energy and stuff come from in being a choir directress?
Directing is like my secret place. It is really like my hiding place. It has become my own personal worship to God. I can sing, but I don't label myself as like a singer. All this running and all of that stuff. But directing is the way, just like a musician plays a keyboard or the trumpet or anything like that. It's a creative form of worship for me. And it's almost like I lose it a little bit. Like it's just me and God, especially when I connect with the words of the song and just getting people to just humble themselves and prepare for what God has for them. So that energy is just like something most people don't know, like I'm like extremely shy. I'm very, very shy. But it's like once I hit that platform to give God what is his, it's like an alter ego. I just become my worship, pretty much. And so, directing has just been like my hiding place, my own personal worship. And the energy just comes out of nowhere because when I go to work in the morning, because I have a full-time job, I don't have that much energy. But when I step on that stage, it's something different, you know.
That is awesome to have good energy like that. Let's rewind it right back. We're 3 minutes in. We're 3 minutes, but let's rewind it, producer. Now let's talk about that picture. Where was that taken? As you're doing your thing, but where was that picture taken?
Again, that was the Spirit of Praise from this year.
From this year, okay.
Yeah, that was the Spirit of Praise at City of Praise.
All right, okay. Yes, that's what I want to talk about. Now you are standing to one of my favorite cartoon characters. So what is Mickey Mouse?
Yes.
I'm a big Mickey Mouse fan. Might as well put it out there, but go ahead.
Well, he terrifies me, and I was getting over my fear.
Oh.
I'm afraid of costume anything.
Ain't that something?
I am. I'm terrified of costume people. So I wanted to conquer my fear.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw Mickey, I wanted to run, but I had nowhere to go. So I was determined to conquer my fear when I saw him. So as you can see, you don't understand the voltage that was going through my body when I was standing near him.
Well, that's a nice picture. That's nice.
Yeah, but this was at Disneyland in California.
Oh, that's so
like
nice.
A vacation that was mostly needed. So.
Oh, well, that is so nice. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are concluding with this first half of the show. On part 2, we are going to still be with Miranda Sanders, but yet we are going to talk about the main thing, KADESH. We're going to talk about the birth, we're going to talk about the history, and we're even got some videos of the best performances that they on the face of this earth have performed. We got all of that for part 2, so you want to be in. And part 2, we're praying and hoping that they'll bless the Malik Show with a little something. So we're crossing our fingers on that, but to God be the glory. But Miranda, thank you for this first half of the Malik Show. And
thank you for having me.
No problem. We are looking forward to part 2 of the birth and the rising of KADESH, and even going to show some great clips and stuff. I am your host, the one and only Malik Shabazz Sullivan of The Malik Show. Come back for part 2.